Hey, Catalyst crew. Welcome to Catalyst Corner, episode 86, season 3.
Yes.
I'm Evan.
I'm Jim.
And we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about some movies, cover some Star Wars Disney stuff.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some AI art issues.
Sounds good.
And, you know, time permitting, we'll get to our music discussion.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe this will be the year.
Maybe. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good. Yeah, New Year. Got through the holidays, so we're back at it.
I got to tell you, the holidays, I mean, aside from the business aspect of it, which is brutal,
Right.
in a good way.
Yes.
They tire me out, man.
Yeah, sure.
I gotta tell you. You know, I love my family, but goddamn, it all just is so, you know, obligatory.
Yeah, holidays are the most stressful time of the year.
Brutal. You know, snow's coming and going.
Yeah, crazy.
We
Got
had
a big
like,
blizzard the other day.
Big blizzard. We had like
now
4 or
it's
5
gone.
inches, and it's gone. It's green again. I don't know.
Crazy.
I don't know. So before we get into it, obviously we're going to be at Aresia 2024 this weekend down in Boston, Mass. at the Westin.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys there.
Yeah,
and,
come on down.
You know, we'll have some cool shit.
Yep.
Did some stuff special for Aresia.
Yeah, some
and,
great stuff.
You know, but what have you watched?
I watched the big one.
Oh my,
Barbie.
How was it?
So,
I mean, it's again in the frame of it's fucking Barbie, but
right. So it was decent.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
It there were some things that actually made me laugh out loud.
Dude, that just the fact that you're saying that to me makes me go perfect.
Right.
Because that's all you're going to get out of it.
And the thing is, you know, I went into it with the right mindset, right?
Sure, right.
As you should, right? So
yeah, it's not going to change your life.
Right. But knowing what it is, and knowing what things were said about it, right? So I mean, you go in with the proper mindset, and you go into it kind of, you know, with a certain expectation, and then when you watch it, it's fun, it's okay,
yeah, a little charming,
yeah. Like, you know, the thing is,
it leans into the absurdity,
and look, it, you know, and we've talked about this before, right? You know. It's not trying to take down the patriarchy. It's not bashing men. It was, I mean, there was a speech, you know, there was a woman empowerment speech, and it's like, it is what it is.
But here's the thing. I'm all for women empowerment.
Right.
But women empowerment should not be, you know, does not equal, well, let's shit on men.
Yeah.
Right? Because women can be powerful without taking anything away from men.
And it wasn't, you know, and the thing is, right, if you go into it with the right mindset of, this is a girl's toy.
Right.
Right? That was made specifically for girls, basically
which again,
only.
Which is totally fine.
Right. And as we've said, Ken was an accessory to the fact that, you know, little girls like to play marriage, what have you, right?
So you had to have a boy.
So, right. And if you had a boyfriend in the neighborhood, that would give him something that he could play with you.
Right. At least he has a guy that he can kind of get behind or whatever.
And it's like, you know, it's the same thing, like, say, with G.I. Joe, right?
Sure. You have the
like Lady J
and
Scarlet, right? You're not, you know, the boys aren't really collecting those figures, but they might have them. And if they have a little sister, you can play with the girl G.I. Joes.
Right.
So you can play along with me.
Right. And the thing is that it's, I think, especially in that generation and that time period, it's a lot easier for a little girl, you know, back in the 70s or 80s to say, okay, well, I want to be the girl G.I. Joe.
Right.
And, you know, I'm just as good as the boys.
Yes.
Which is great, fine,
right.
Perfect. And that's the same sort of thing, you know, that Barbie sort of represented in the 70s, 80s, 90s was, you know, hey, this is for girls.
Yeah. And the thing is, she didn't take down the patriarchy. It was all tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
Right. It was done in a fun way.
But that's the thing, is that I don't, and again, maybe this is just my ignorance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand when all of a sudden this shift in art, in cinema, was from empowering women and strong women to fuck the patriarchy, it's all men's fault,
right.
We have to take them down. Like, there is a clear shift, though, you know, to the narrative being that, as opposed to just being, you know, I can be powerful. I can stand on my own. I can do these things, as opposed to being, fuck these guys.
And the thing is, right? Can they go to the real world, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's been out a little bit, so I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler,
I think that
right?
was kind of the thing, right?
Right. So they go to the real world. Ken realizes that men are more in charge in the real world, whereas obviously Barbie
he's
and
not
Barbie's
he's
world.
not just an accessory, is the joke of it all, right?
Right, exactly. And so he comes and takes over Barbie land, and turns it into Ken land, basically.
Right.
And so the Barbies use their wares to get it back, and getting back to being Barbie land, right? But again, that's what it is.
Right, but that's
Barbie's land.
But that's the thing, is that especially in a plot like that to me is very funny, because you're covering a little bit of the meta, right?
Yeah.
But you're also not. It doesn't become this. I assume Ken wasn't punished.
No.
Right.
No. At the end, they're still friends. He wants to be more than friends. She doesn't.
Right, and that's fine.
Right.
But it's not, you're this evil fucking, banish him to the shadow realm type of thing.
The thing is, he was like, I just want to be more than just an accessory,
Right,
basically.
I'm more than Ken.
Right. And she's like, no, you are, but,
You're not.
this,
Right.
But this is really not your, this
now
is
you watched
for
it with your
Barbies.
partner?
Yeah.
What does she think?
Same thing.
Yeah,
Thing.
she
You know
liked
what I
it.
mean? She enjoyed it for what it was.
Sure.
There's one really good part, right? And I'll probably butcher this because I don't remember verbatim. But Helen Mirren does the narration, right?
Oh, really?
And at one part, Barbie says, I feel ugly, right? And then Helen Mirren cuts in and says, noted director, to get this point across, Margot Robbie is not the best choice for this. And, it's stuff like that, right?
Right.
It's
It
like,
kind of becomes meta in certain ways,
Right.
and you get some humor out of
and,
that.
And you had Will Ferrell in it, and he was,
Sure,
and
he's
he
the bad
done-
guy, right?
Kind of,
the
not
corporate
really, though.
dude. Right, there wasn't really a bad guy.
No, there really wasn't.
Right,
It was
much
just
like life. There's not really a bad guy.
It was like the Barbie is a toy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the person that was her person kind of like started making it so she became like, not the perfect Barbie like she was. And then, they
right,
got
a little
together.
more human.
Yeah. And again, it for what it is.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you recommend it?
I would. I
Okay.
would recommend it.
Right.
And again,
And that's what everybody I've
Right.
talked to who's seen it says, is
And-
that it is fun.
and this is not trying to take the dick off the guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right,
embarrassing him. That's not what
right,
this is.
You can have, see, just to kind of, I guess the best way I can kind of explain it, at least from my perception of how all of this is going, is that it would be, at least the way I see how things have gone, it would be the equivalent of if Ken shat on Barbie and basically said, Barbie's a piece of shit. She's always been a piece of shit. She's been lying to you, and fuck her. I'm Ken. I'm in charge now. I'm the best around.
Right.
Period.
Right. And that would have been an issue.
Right. But that's what's happening
Right. And
to
right,
our
on the
characters.
right, exactly.
To our Indiana Jones. To our Luke Skywalker.
Right, exactly. And this is why this movie works, is because
It doesn't do that.
not only does it not do that, but again, Barbie is the lead character.
Right.
And at the end, Barbie is the lead character.
Right.
But it's all made for girls, right? This isn't taking, Indiana Jones or G.I.
But the
Joe
thing is, right,
or Luke Skywalker out.
If I went to go see a Barbie movie and it ended with Ken being the main character, that'd be the stupidest fucking thing I've ever
Right,
heard of.
exactly.
I'd be furious.
Yeah.
And that's me.
Right.
So it's not, that's kind of the point I want to come across, is it's not about having, women in these roles and things. It's about replacing the characters we care about or shitting on their legacies.
Right. But the thing is, those movies are made for us as
Right.
men.
Sure. I mean,
and they're
look,
trying.
I remember being a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was, some girls were into Star Wars and Indiana Jones,
Sure.
but it wasn't like I was watching it with my buddies.
Yeah.
It wasn't me going with, a mixed group of girls. Or if the girls went, it was like doing a favor to the boyfriends.
Yeah. To be honest, my sister is a big Star Wars fan.
Sure.
And we went together when we were young.
Right. And that's
she
what I'm
would,
saying.
And
is
she
there
would
are...
also even play with the toys with me when I was young, right?
Right.
Because she liked it. You know what I mean? She was a fan. But the thing is, she's a fan of Luke, and she's a fan of Han, and she's
Right.
a fan of the original trilogy and those characters and what they stood for. She's not on the side of trying to replace them and they're pieces of shit.
But right. So here's the thing. I get it. They're old. Time has passed. It's not like we get to keep Luke and Han and Leia forever. Obviously, with Carrie Fisher passing and everything. But if you're going to bring in a new generation, right? You're building on the back of giants.
Right.
So build on it. But if you squash them down, instead of using the pillars that have been created, you're basically starting from the beginning. And
Right.
if your shit is not tight, it's going to fail.
Right.
And it has failed,
Right.
and it will continue to fail.
And here's the thing, right? Barbie is not made for me,
no.
but I went in there to enjoy it for what it was.
And you did.
And I but I wasn't asking for it to be for me.
No, you didn't want it to be Ken World.
Right. So, again, could I go in there knowing that the movie is not for me, not made for me,
Right.
but enjoy it for what it is and what it represents? Yes, that can be done. And I don't need it to be like, nope, Ken needs to be there. Ken is the best. He's the best doll. We don't need Barbie. She's a piece of shit. No, I didn't go in there with that attitude.
But you don't want that either,
I
because
don't
it
want
fucks
that.
up the story.
Right.
So before I get into what I saw, I just want to... It's just very interesting that this is kind of coming up because I don't know if you know this, but I'm a huge Lord of the Rings guy.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes.
Love the books. Have read the books every couple of
Yep.
years. Have since fifth grade or whatever, right? And I love the Peter Jackson films.
Sure,
The Hobbits
sure.
are a lot
Yeah,
weaker, but
yeah.
but if you watch the extended edition,
Yeah.
they're a little better. And obviously, I think Lord of the Rings is probably the best adaptation ever.
Sure.
Sure. And anytime I go on YouTube and stuff, every now and then the making of Lord of the Rings pops up, and
Okay.
it's like a 2-hour. It's a whole thing.
Oh, all right.
But I can't not watch
Sure.
it. Right.
Yeah, of course.
And it popped up the other day.
Oh,
and I
okay.
was watching it, and they just kept reiterating how this is the line they said. They said, we try to change things, and then we would do rewrites, and then because the things we tried to change didn't work, and then ultimately what we found out was the rewrites and changes we made to fix the shit we fucked up brought it back to Tolkien. And it's like, oh, Tolkien definitely knew what he was doing. Right. And that was just the central theme, was we had to be true to the characters. We always had the books on set, and then you look at things like Rings of Power, which completely bastardizes
Right.
Tolkien, or The Witcher, which completely bastardizes Sapkowski. And they didn't have the books on. I mean, Cavill had the books,
Right.
But Rings of Power, they didn't have the books on set.
No.
And it's just like, I don't think anyone... I mean, you can have true Tolkien purists that can say, oh, they didn't go far enough with Lord of the
Sure.
Rings, but I don't think anyone would argue that it's not a faithful adaptation.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely
And
it is.
It's pretty universally beloved, I would say. And
Yes.
again, this is not me pulling this out of thin air.
No, it is. It's one of the most beloved franchises
One
that
of
there
the
is.
few fantasy films to win Best Picture,
Yes.
And the thing is just that the cast, the crew, the directors, the producers all had such a respect for the work.
Right.
And it just boggles my mind that you can have that as a template and go, well, what did they do to make this all work? Well, they respected what they were making. And it's just, it's just crazy to me.
Right.
You know?
No, absolutely.
Because all I'm hearing, because we're getting a season 2 of Rings of Power.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing it's a nightmare.
Yeah. And, after they just laid off hundreds and hundreds of people from Amazon because, not directly because of it, but because how much money they spent and lost.
Right.
They
and
have
the
to
thing
cut
is
corners
that
somewhere.
instead of, and we've said this in the past, instead of looking inward as to why season 1 didn't do well, you're doubling and tripling down on these shitty writers and directors and showrunners and ideas that don't work.
Yeah. No, there's been no lessons learned. 2023, $1 billion lost in Hollywood, and they didn't learn a single lesson as to why that was.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because the thing is like, I don't understand where it's almost like they developed amnesia because they had the formula.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, look, I don't need you to regurgitate the same shit over and over again. But if you're going to make stuff that already exists in another medium, just make sure you stick to the fucking story.
Right. It's just that simple. And I mean, again, you can add your diversity when it fits and it's proper.
Right.
And no one's saying that you can't, but it has to make sense to the story. The story has to be close to the source material, and then if you're going to make any type of changes, it has to make sense to the overall story.
But the other half of it is, and not to keep harping on Lord of the Rings and everything, but if you look at the relationships that Galadriel has with, say, even just Elrond, right? These are pinnacle characters in Lord of the Rings. She is almost hostile towards him in the Rings of Power. And it's just like, that's not what their relationship ever was.
Right.
They're not together or anything, but there was never that level of hostility.
Right, exactly. And that's what throws everybody off. Like, wait a minute.
Wait, they hated each other
right, it's
when
like
they
these
were
aren't
younger?
the right characters.
Right.
Where this doesn't make any sense.
Right. So, you're self-inserting characters. You're changing relationships that it benefits no one.
No. And again, the fans have spoken with the ratings and with the theatrical releases, their wallets, and yet you're going to double down on doing the same thing, thinking that you're going to get a different result this time around.
It's wild.
It is.
All right, let me hit you with what I watched, because I haven't seen you in a while,
Yes.
and I got quite a bit.
Okay.
So we caught The Exorcist Believer.
Oh, you did catch it. Okay. Yeah.
So I kind of liked how it ended.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that darker ending.
Yeah.
I thought it was an hour too long.
Sure.
Like, it was so boring. Mm-hmm. My partner liked it a lot.
Yeah.
She really enjoyed it. She hasn't seen the first one, so I don't know if that affects her at all.
Yeah.
I liked having. I really did like the Linda Blair. Cameo.
Right.
That's cool.
But now, when I mentioned it to you the last time when I watched it, I mentioned to you about the ending, right? And if you know anything about theology, you would understand that when that deal was laid out, you knew what the end result was going to like.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was pretty.
It was a little. I don't know. It was a little hollow just because I didn't feel like there was enough character development.
Sure.
With the family dynamic for that to have so much weight.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So, like, to me, I kind of think the bones were there.
Yeah.
I just think there was a lot of fat.
Yeah.
That could have been trimmed.
Certainly.
And I thought that they made the kids look fucking weird. Like, the whole forehead thing, I didn't really understand that. That was weird.
Yeah, it could have been a lot better than it was.
I'll be interested to see where they go with the next one.
Me too.
Me too. I'm not writing it off at this point.
Agreed.
So I caught that, and then we watched season 1 of Castle Rock.
Okay.
I like it.
Did you?
I did. I didn't love it.
Sure.
I thought season 1. We're into season 2 now.
Okay.
I thought season 1 was a little slow.
All right.
I didn't like that there was an episode where they basically just did previously on the whole time. That I didn't care for. But Bill Skarsgård is fucking phenomenal.
Okay.
I mean, he does great.
Nice. Nice.
Have you seen it?
I have not. No.
Oh, let me tell you this. Castle Rock, if you like Stephen King stuff, great. It ties
Really?
it
Okay.
ties the whole universe together.
Oh, this isn't the one.
Yeah, it's the one with the Shawshank.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, did you like
and
it?
then the one where in the season 2 was Misery.
Yeah, Misery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did see. Yes,
Yeah,
I did
okay.
watch those.
Did you
yes.
like 'em?
Yes, I
So
did.
So do I. And I
Yes.
got to tell you, Lizzie Chaplin, I think her name is Lizzie Chapman, as Annie Wilkes.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's fucking her.
Yeah, she had the voice down.
The
pat.
walk, she has
Yeah.
the walk, the voice,
Yeah.
the crazy, all of
Yes.
it.
Yes.
All of it.
Yeah,
So,
I thought that was really good.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I really liked season 1 just because there is that ambiguous
Yep.
ending. You don't
Yep.
know. Is he Henry? Is he not Henry?
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Exactly.
You know?
And then he had he gave a little bit of a Pennywise.
Well, that's what I was
at the
thinking.
end.
Right? When he's sitting there and smiling at
Yeah.
the end, I go, is it fucking Pennywise?
yeah, it like that.
Because that's the vibe you get.
Right, exactly.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, if that was Pennywise, it would make sense.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was...
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, so I'm sad that it only got 2
Yeah,
seasons.
me too.
Because I really, I think King's endings are generally shit.
Yeah.
I think he really
I
struggles
mean,
with anything.
I think that's a unanimous
Sure.
decision on
but
that.
I like the way that they tied,
Yeah.
everything is tied together.
Yes. Yes.
And to me, that makes King's universe like a lot juicier.
Mm-hmm.
So we're about a third of the way through.
Okay.
About a third of the way through season 2.
Nice.
And the only thing I find confusing about it is just the timetable.
Yeah.
So I guess if we're rolling with this, then Misery takes place in the future.
I
don't know. I haven't seen the whole thing,
Yeah.
so I don't know if
Yeah.
it gets weird or whatever. But
it's the whole thing is weird.
sure, but really enjoying
Yeah,
that.
it is. That is really good.
So caught that.
Nice.
I watched one called Werewolf Within.
Is that no?
Now, not the Disney Plus one.
No. I'm trying to think of who stars in that.
So that has the girl from the AT&T commercials.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I did. Yes, I know you. I've not seen this.
So,
no. Okay.
so it's a horror comedy, right?
Oh, okay.
And it's almost got like it's kind of got almost Evil Dead vibes to
Oh,
it.
cool.
It had no business being as good as it was.
Really?
I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was funny.
Nice.
It was a hard R, so they didn't have to shy away from
Good.
any of the violence or any of
Good.
that type of stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
The comedy was on point.
Nice.
Everybody who was in it was great. Just
Excellent.
really, really funny.
Nice.
And I caught Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 1,
oh,
Justice League,
nice.
which
That's
is
a good one.
animated, obviously,
Yeah,
and it's their new version of it. Yeah, their animation is still
Yeah. Top. They've got nothing else going, but their animation is.
Yeah, I heard.
Still
so I haven't
stellar.
seen it yet. I want to watch it. I heard Aquaman is a fucking snooze fest.
Yeah. Yeah.
A snooze fest.
Yeah. It's. I mean, again, it's dead. Let's move on to the James Gunn version now
see
and
what he
see
can
what
do
we
with
got.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely I've caught in a lot more
Nice,
than I
nice.
normally get to
Yeah.
watch. And looking forward to some stuff. Dune Part 2's coming out.
I mean,
looking forward to
there
that.
is some good stuff that's on its way. I mean, it's not, obviously the strike has, pushed some stuff back, so we're not going to get a tremendous amount of releases this
first
year.
half of
but,
the year, I think, is going to be real.
But
a
there
bit
is
dry.
there is some stuff that's coming out that is going to, I think, do well.
Yeah. Oh, I think Dune Part 2 will kill.
Yeah, that will do. That. Yeah, I mean that I think is a guarantee.
Yeah, because Part 1 was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So let's move over to the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, they suffered a huge blow,
Yeah.
losing Steamboat Willie
Right.
to the masses.
Yes. Yes.
Fuck 'em.
As much as they tried to stop it, they could not.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
Star Wars is still just a mess.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I mean, so as soon as the new year rolled around, we started hearing a little bit more about the Rey movie, and we started getting into the director, right, that they've chosen, and he, I'm not going to disagree with what everybody's saying. Look, this is an activist who only cares about activism.
Right. She gave that big speech where she's like, I love making men feel uncomfortable. And that's cool. Like, if that's what you want to do.
But the thing is, you're a documentarian.
Right.
You made documentaries about Pakistani women getting mistreated by the men of in that
But the
culture.
thing is, right, is that as a documentarian, if you want to make men uncomfortable, fuck yeah,
well,
do
especially
it. Do it, especially if it's shit that men's doing.
Based upon what you're saying, yes, I mean that shit needs to stop. Absolutely,
right.
I'm
make
in full
men uncomfortable.
agreement.
Like,
right,
I'm with you, girl. I'm behind you.
But the problem is, you've never made a movie.
Right, but like your plan is to what? Make Star Wars men uncomfortable? Like Star Wars fans that are men uncomfortable? Like you want to do that?
Right. And so here's
what have they done to you?
Right. And so, you're going to get, Rey and we've already talked about, the biggest Mary Sue in a galaxy far, far away, and no one wants this movie. But but I've come
Here's the thing. If they make this movie, right, and little girls line up and you see Rey Halloween costumes, I'm not going to say a fucking thing.
Right.
I really won't. Like, that's the thing, is that Star Wars, for at the end of the day, if you want to make it for kids, I'm cool with that. If you want to make it for little girls, I'm okay with that.
Sure.
It's not mine.
Right.
I had it as a kid.
Right, but here's my thing, right?
But if they're not lining up and you're still attacking, your typical Star Wars male fan, that's where I draw issue.
But here's the thing, right? Do you care anymore?
No, I don't care about any of it.
And so here's my and let me put it to you this way. I like that, it bombing and it being a disaster gives us things to talk about here on the podcast.
Yeah, it makes content.
That's fun.
It makes it easy to do content.
But here's the thing. Star Wars will always be there for me regardless, right? Meaning, and I've said this to you before, when Han Solo died and Leia hugged Rey and not Chewbacca, Star Wars ended for me. It ended.
Right.
But I will always have the original trilogy, and I will always have the prequel trilogy. I'm never going to ever stop loving those movies. So I don't care what Disney does with Star Wars anymore. It's over for me as far as caring, other than using it as fodder to talk about on the podcast.
Right. And the thing is, right, here's the thing. If they somehow figure out the formula and can walk it all back, I don't think it would happen in a million years. But if they were able to, I'll get back on board.
Right. And
that's the thing, is like, I'm not sitting here going, I want the women to fail.
Right.
I'm just going, you're not telling good stories. You're not telling Star Wars stories.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Everything that Disney has done has been garbage. And that's fine, whatever. It's your IP. You can do with it what you will.
It's been bland.
I don't have to be there to enjoy
at
it.
Best, right?
Yeah.
Garbage at worst.
Yeah.
And every now and then there'll be a scene or two that's Star Wars.
Yep.
There's a couple of scenes in Obi-Wan with Vader, when Vader pulls that ship out of the sky. That's Star Wars.
Right.
When Ahsoka shows up in The Mandalorian, that's Star Wars.
Yeah. When Ahsoka, went into the world between worlds and turned around, and Anakin was there.
That's Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Right. There are little breadcrumbs of what Star Wars actually is. It's just that the bulk of it now is not.
Right. And here's the thing. DC Comics and Marvel Comics right now, for the past couple years, may be the worst ever in the history.
Which is crazy, because we just got off of the like the Dark Knight's Metal and all of that.
Right.
Like it led into this.
Rebirth, right? Only a few years ago, we're talking maybe 2017, right? DC Comics was awesome during when Rebirth came
we had
up.
Batman Who Laughs. We had Dark Knight's Metal.
But
Black Label was cooking.
So for the past few years, I have not purchased or read any DC comics because or Marvel comics, because they're awful. But I have years and years of those comics from the past that I can enjoy.
Well, you have 100 years worth of stories.
And will they come around again someday and I'll be back on board? Probably.
I mean, it's the nature of the beast, right?
And I'm okay. I'm okay to let you put out all your trash, and I won't be there for it. I will not give you a penny of my money for all the garbage. But if you fix it and turn it back around,
the thing
I'll
is,
be
right,
back on board.
I mean, it's not, you can make the argument, oh, you guys are just old men, you know, you're not with the times, but it's like, but nobody likes this shit.
No.
Nobody is lining up. You don't have little kids going out on Wednesday and picking up the latest issue of Spider-Man or Batman or any of that shit.
No, and to your point, I mean, I agree with you. If little girls line up for this Ray movie and they buy the toys and they buy the Halloween costumes, cool. The problem is, it hasn't happened yet.
Right, because that's the thing, is that if it was a huge success, right, I'm going to say, all right, it's got to be me then. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I'm in the wrong here because, you know, maybe it's just my views or something like that. But that's not what's happening. I think when Star Wars came out, you had more girls side with Rey and be into Rey than you did, say, like Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah,
you know,
sure.
Like, I think she has a bigger fan base than Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel or any of those.
And I think
characters.
And I think that some of that has to do with the actress.
Sure, Daisy Ridley is very likable, and I think that obviously Brie Larson is really not.
Right.
But again, like I said, you know, the toys aren't flying off the shelves.
No, they're not at all.
We go to cons pretty frequently, and I don't see, you know, whenever I see Star Wars cosplay, and it's less now, it's always Vader, Boba Fett, Stormtroopers. It's never Rey, Finn, Kylo. You know, maybe once in a great while I'll see a Kylo, but I don't ever see Reys anymore.
Let me tell you something. You'll see from Return of the Jedi the slave girl that dances for Jabba the Hutt more than you will see Rey. Yeah, like that. That's just the honest to God's truth.
And that's the thing, is like, you know, I think what kind of makes our insight a little different is obviously, like, kind of working sort of in the industry and going to cons and things like that. We do see this stuff firsthand, right? So this is not me just sitting in my basement being a bitter old man and going, I don't want a fucking female Jedi. No, it's, I see what's popular with the cosplay, you know, and I see what's popular with, you know, I saw a lot of One Piece cosplay, a lot of Namis, a lot of, you know, characters like that. I see a lot of stuff like that. I don't see a lot of Star Wars. I don't see a lot of Captain Marvel. I don't see a lot of Black Panther, you know, Wakanda Forever characters running around.
No, you don't.
I don't see any Ironheart.
And look, you don't really even see much Black Widow. And even and that's a popular character,
it's pretty
but
rare.
You don't see a lot of it.
You know,
it's just the way
what
it is.
I do see for girls and women, that I see a lot of, like, Frozen, a lot of Elsa.
Yeah,
you'll
see a lot of Harley Quinn. You'll see a lot of Poison Ivy. You'll see a lot of Catwoman.
Right. I see a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing a lot of, you know, I'll see a Barbie every now and then.
Sure.
I don't see a lot of Rey. I don't see a lot of I don't see any Rivas. Or whatever, or, you know.
No.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is, like, these characters are not resonating with anyone.
Right, you don't... I've never seen an Ahsoka.
Neither have I.
Never seen Ahsoka.
No, that's not true. I've seen one or two.
Have you?
I've seen Clone Wars Ahsoka, though. I haven't seen Ahsoka from the live action.
But you never see Hera. You never see Sabine.
No.
Right?
No, I've seen a Sabine.
Have you?
Yeah, but again, Clone Wars Sabine.
Okay.
I haven't seen Sabine from...
Well, you know, and again, you might see a Bo-Katan, right? Maybe.
Yeah, every now and then, maybe.
But this is, you know, again, if you're at a con and there's 200 women, you're talking about like one.
But that's the thing, is that
200.
Is that I will say that since I've started this, I have seen a lot more girls and women start to come to these cons, which is awesome. I think there's just as many fans in the geekdom, you know, in geekdom in itself, that are male and female, or non-binary or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I'm not seeing is I'm not seeing fucking Velma cosplays, you know? Like, I'm
No.
not seeing the shit that we all seem to really, or at least what our channel seems to dislike.
If you're seeing Velma, it's sexy Velma.
Right. I'm
You know
not
what I
seeing,
mean? You're
I'm
not seeing Velma
right,
from
I'm
Velma.
not seeing Mandy Kaling's Velma.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And I guess the point of it is, right, is that if the toys aren't moving off the shelf,
Which they aren't.
and nobody's dressing up, even at Halloween, you know, when the kids come to the door,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing these characters.
Right.
So I'm not seeing them at the cons. And again, we're going to Arisia, so we'll see what the cosplays look like. I mean,
exactly.
you know, maybe they'll be there.
Sure,
But
maybe.
again, I haven't seen them yet.
Right.
So I don't know. And you know, with the announcement now that Favreau's directing The
Yeah.
Mandalorian and Grogu, it seems like such a Hail Mary play.
It is.
But nobody cares about Baby Yoda anymore.
No.
You're like, it's over.
Right.
You had it.
Yeah.
You fucked it up.
Right.
It's over.
Exactly. And no one, you know, and the thing too is Mandalorian season 3 was an epic failure.
Yeah, nobody talks about that.
And so again, you're trying to I don't know what you're trying to do. Get one more hurrah for, you know, Pedro Pascal to play
but
Mando.
Doesn't it seem like the thing is that nobody's like going crazy for Grogu anymore.
No. Grogu is sitting on the shelves collecting dust.
Right, like he had his moment.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a short moment.
Yeah,
Like,
it was-
wasn't a
it
very
was real
it was
short.
a 2-season arc.
Yeah. Because you made him very boring. He was
But
a
the thing
boring
is, right,
character.
the thing is, right, is that if he went off with Luke and then maybe 2 or 3 seasons down the line, you brought him back, you could still push him. But because you did what you did, nobody it's not that they actively dislike Grogu, but nobody cares anymore.
No one cares. But the thing is, no one cares about anything. Really cares about anything that's not in George Lucas's Star Wars.
The funniest thing about Grogu to me was Disney didn't think it was going to hit.
No.
And you know that because when it hit, they didn't have Grogu stuff for Christmas.
No. Yeah.
That
they
year.
They were well behind in producing.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
we were ready to go.
They didn't know. Right. They didn't know. They didn't have any faith in it. You know, and again, it's a flash in the pan type of thing
Yep.
that has no longevity to it.
No. Because the thing is that nobody wants to see, you know, Grogu tales. Like, what's Grogu up to? Nobody fucking cares.
No, and just like, I mean, we all love Yoda, but again, we don't want Yoda to be a central figure to what's
Yoda,
going on.
Even with Clone Wars, Yoda is sugar. You use it sparingly.
Right.
You know, same with like Darth Maul and those guys, though.
Right.
You know, it's sugar and fat. You use it sparingly, you know,
Yeah.
and that makes it worthwhile.
Right. And you know, and the thing is, you know, there was a script that leaked, and hopefully it's not, you know, that Rey has a baby, and that baby becomes, you know, the chosen one. You know, this is
The
what
chosen one again.
Yeah, again, and
Right.
and she now
or
takes.
they'll retroactively say that Anakin wasn't the chosen
Yeah,
one.
and
or
so
something.
you know what I mean. It's just like who I just don't know who this is for. You know, I mean, you've had the failures of the sequel trilogy, and as time has gone on, unlike the prequel trilogy, as time went on, more people accepted those and really started to love those movies because they stepped back a little bit. We've done that now with the sequel trilogies, and we hate them more now than we did when they
That's
came
the thing
out.
is that I was more forgiving of the sequels when they came out than I am now. Now that I've had, you know, distance from them.
Yeah.
And again, the reason, you know, people hate Jar Jar Binks and everything, and he's annoying, but
Sure.
he worked for the kids. Mm-hmm. The kids at the time liked
Right.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, does he age as well? No.
No, just like Grogu. He's just that type of character. He was good for kids for a little while.
Right.
And then, it wore off. And now you look at it and it's just annoying. Just
Right.
like Grogu.
For sure. And that's the thing is, like, it's not, you know, you can't. No one wants to see Jar Jar Binks' adventures.
No, not
you
at
know?
all.
Unless it's Dark Jar Jar.
Right.
Then,
yeah. If
you
they
know.
did,
All right,
if
hold
they
on
did
a
go
minute.
down
Yeah.
that path, then I think people would have been interested.
Sure, but I don't know. I see what's working right now, and not everything bombs. You know, not everything is failing at the box office.
No.
But it just to me, it just doesn't seem like they know who their audience is anymore.
Yeah, it's just the problem is that, you know, and I said this at the time when Iger came out and said we're going to quiet the noise. I said that fucking guy is lying out his ass. They have gone harder in the politics and the identity politics and the woke agenda. They have gone harder since he came out and said that than they were prior. And I knew that was going to be what they were going to do. It was just to try to get the stock back up. It was just to try to hold off the proxy war that's going to be coming very, very soon. But they have no intentions of changing anything, and that's why all of their properties bomb. But everybody else is starting to get a little realization to think that if we're going to survive, we're going to have to, you know, quiet down. We are going to have to quiet it down. And again,
But
no
it's
one's
not
saying
even
get
about-
rid of
it's not about-
diversity.
Right. It's not about quieting it down. It's about, if you want to tell that story, pick a property where that is central to the tale.
Sure.
Don't just plug it into everything.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
You know? It works great in The Last of Us. Why? Because it's part of the Last of Us story.
Right, but
So-
you're not shoehorning it in and
Right.
trying to make it fit when it doesn't. It fits because it's central to the original story.
Right. It's not something you added on.
Right,
It's something that was
exactly.
always there, and
Yeah.
that's why it
Yeah,
works.
right. It's definitely organic within that tale as opposed to trying to fit it in where we know it doesn't work.
Right.
You know, and that's why no one cares about these Star Wars properties that they're announcing.
But it's not just Star Wars, right?
No, it isn't.
We've seen The
It's
Witcher
Marvel.
fail
Yeah.
out of existence, basically. Like, maybe they're getting another season, but there is no fanfare. There's nothing in the media about it. Like, nobody
No.
gives a shit anymore. It's a dead property.
Right.
And you tried to release your own fucking thing in the universe, and it tanked.
Yeah. It tanked terribly because, again, your expectation is, and this is what blows my mind, that they haven't realized this yet. You keep on making these shows and movies to an audience that doesn't exist. It's been proven it doesn't exist, but yet you keep on making these movies.
But even if the
and
audience, quote unquote, exists, they're not watching.
yeah.
So it's like you're not striking a note with this supposed audience that you're after.
Right.
So
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, we want to bring in all this new audience, like, Doctor Who, right? The new one came out. I've never watched Doctor Who. I don't know anything about it. But the one of the new people came out and said, we want to make this new season to attract the Gen Z. Good fucking luck with that. Good luck with getting Gen Z to give a shit about your property, because they don't. They
No.
don't.
They don't, and I don't think they ever would. I don't think there's anything you can do that's going to win them over
No.
for something as old as Doctor Who.
Right. So it's like, you know.
Look, it's the same mentality as Bud Light. You have a built-in audience.
Right.
Be happy they exist.
Yeah.
Because your Gen Z's not going to start drinking
Right.
Bud Light. Just
But-
like they're not going to get on
Yeah.
board with Doctor Who.
But the audience that you have for Star Wars is way bigger than the audience that you think that you want to attract. That's what I don't understand. The audience you think you want is smaller than the audience that actually would love Star Wars to go back to what Star Wars was. And so you're giving up billions to make millions.
Right, it's crazy. And for what? Because you want to pretend like you have the moral high ground?
Yeah.
Even though on one hand, you'll fight for diversity and inclusion, and then on the other hand, you'll tell a parent's whose child died that they can't have Winnie the Pooh on their gravestone.
Right.
Like, you're a piece of shit company.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, the internet is, outed you for
Right.
all the bullshit that you've pulled.
Yeah. I mean, again, you can have. No one's saying you can't have Ray. What you can't have is Mary Sue Ray.
No,
like,
you know
that's
what?
the
You
problem.
can have Mary Sue. I don't fucking care. But don't fuck with Luke. Don't shit on Luke.
Yeah, but
if
even-
you have to have Mary Sue Ray,
Yeah,
fine,
but
have her.
but no one buys that.
I know no one buys her, but I would be much softer on Ray.
Sure,
If she didn't
right.
have to shit on Luke.
Right. But that's the only way. But that's the only way that you could be the Mary Sue. That the only way that you could
Well, I
make
mean,
that
that's the
work.
only way that untalented writers can make that
Sure.
work.
But it's like, but if you gave her a hero's journey, if you made her go through trials and tribulations, if you made it where she
Right, but
almost
like
failed.
Your idea now is to do, a Ray movie where, okay, cool, we're doing a Ray movie. Better have a fucking hero's journey now.
But you won't. You won't, because the thing is, what you are doing is Luke sucked. He fucked this up. I'm gonna fucking take care of it now because
But
a
that's
man
not a
screwed
hero's-
it up.
that's
Of
not a
course it's
hero's
not.
journey.
It's not a hero's anything. But that's what you're doing. It's another. I've got to pick. Luke is the biggest piece of shit in the galaxy, and
Here's
I'm
the
here to
thing.
clean
Here's
up
the
all
thing.
his messes.
I know you're not as big into video games or anything, but God of War is a huge success, right?
Sure.
And one of the themes of that is I want to end the cycle of violence. My father was shitty. He didn't have it figured out. I'm going to do better.
Sure.
But there's a whole story.
Yeah.
To
and,
get
and, he,
to-
and he
to-
has a
to-
kid,
to-
right, that he's trying to teach.
Right.
Is that
To
right?
get
Yeah.
well, that's sort of the catalyst.
Okay.
To get to that sort of point is like this cycle has to stop, right?
Right.
But this character has been around for 20 years, and the first 15, he was a mindless rage machine, right? All he did was kill and perpetuate the cycle of violence.
Yep.
And then he had his son, and he becomes more introspective, and there's more
He has
growth.
an epiphany of.
But there's growth.
Change,
We
yeah.
can see him growing, and he struggles, and he fails with the kid a lot of times, right? So he's not this perfect Mary Sue character,
Right.
He's struggling to kind of get to that point of, the cycle has to end with me, sort of thing. But that's a whole journey in and of itself. So you can have that. They did it wrong. I'm going to fix it. But if you're going to tell that story, one, you better like the fucking character that's going to fix it. And two, just understand that there is a lot of bridge building you have to do to tell that story. And you have not laid that road at this point.
No.
With Ray, anyway.
No, you haven't, and you didn't with any of the characters that you introduced in the sequel trilogy. None of them.
No, you don't get behind any of those guys.
No. Like I said, the only thing you almost had me on is if Finn sacrificed himself when in the Last Jedi. If Finn had sacrificed himself, as opposed to getting saved by Rose Tico of all people,
Right.
if he had sacrificed himself at that point, I'd have been like, you know what, cool. That was a pretty good character arc. Not great,
No, but
pretty good.
he started as a grunt, found some purpose, wasn't the Jedi that he thought he was going to be.
Yep.
And ended up, saving the day.
Yeah. Ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to die a hero. I started out as a villain, and I'm going to die a hero.
Right. My life will have purpose.
Yeah. And if my sacrifice helps, the resistance overtake, what's going on with the, Palpatine coming back, the Emperor, make sure we don't have another galactic empire. That's great. That would have been a good, secondary character arc. That would have been fine.
Would have been fantastic,
Right.
But even guys like Poe, right? Every time he tried to have a moment, right, where he's questioning Laura Dern's character, right? She's just shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Right.
I'm the leader.
Yeah. And then, you had her do a sacrifice, which meant nothing.
Because we didn't care about her. She
Right.
fucking didn't come from anywhere.
No, just appears and then is going to make
but
a
that's
sacrifice,
the thing.
and it's like
it's hollow.
Right.
You can't bring a character in the same episode, do the sacrifice when the whole time she's just shitting on Poe, who's already
Right.
established character.
Right.
So we don't like you. Just all it makes you go is like, oh, she wasn't as big of a piece of shit as I thought she was.
Yeah, and the sacrifice didn't end up really leading to anything.
No, because they still caught up with them.
Right. So it was all you did was, all you wanted to do was make another girl boss. That's all you intended for that to do. It meant nothing in the story.
The whole thing just reeks of just hollow fucking bullshit.
And that's the problem. And so, and this is what is going on with all of these movies. It's not, just Star Wars, but it's like, look,
movies and TV.
Yeah, like I would have and this is where people, don't get it. Like even with Barbie, right? Going back to that, there was an arc. There was a story arc where Barbie was perfect, and then she became less perfect, and she questioned herself, and then she had to go back to try to become back to what she was. But she didn't go back to what she was.
Right,
she
because
grew.
she had a hero's journey, and she was different from when she started.
Right. She had character growth, and that's. And again,
well,
it was only in the course of a movie.
Adam Driver said about Kylo Ren, though.
Yeah.
He was supposed to just be evil.
Right. Which is
great.
What we would have
That's exactly
wanted.
what it should have been.
Right.
Instead of retelling fucking Anakin's story, no. The grandson didn't find the light. He just went deeper into the dark side.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. You have again.
Not everything has to be a happy ending.
No. I would rather, not had Palpatine ever come back. I would rather have had Kylo be the guy.
Right, but the thing is even with the disaster of The Last Jedi, all you had to do was have Kylo be the supreme leader, and he's more ruthless than any of them could have ever imagined, and he's just the big bad. And he's the bad guy, and at the end of the day, Rey's got to stop him.
Yeah. Yeah, or better yet, he could have had a small moment where him and Rey connected.
Right.
Then he goes back to being bad, and then he tries to turn her bad, and she realizes she's a Palpatine and goes bad, and then they both rule the galaxy.
Yeah, Palpatine wins.
Yeah, that would have been the story I would have told. Like, if you wanted to end the Skywalker saga, end it with friggin' Kylo and Rey. Evil as shit, ruling the galaxy.
And then what you could do is you could bring someone else along that can actually try to fight this power couple.
Yeah.
But I don't know. All right. With that, let's put it to bed.
Okay.
Jim, as always, love having you on.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on?
Well, we are going to get ready to drop Chapter 2 of Eva on Webtoons.
When's that coming out?
It is going to come out next Wednesday, the 17th, 10 o'clock.
Very excited to see where that's going.
Yeah, so anybody that's listening here, again, go check out Eva on Webtoons this upcoming Wednesday. You'll get Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. So
we'll have
give it a
links
read.
And everything on social and
absolutely.
all that.
And, try to drop some comments. Let me know what you think.
All right, guys, so that's 86 of the corner. CatalystCrafting.com is the main website. Catalyst Creations NH is the Etsy store. We're going to be at Arisia this weekend, so if you're in the Boston area and you're looking for something to do this weekend, come on down. We'll have some cool shit. But what have you guys seen? Have you seen Castle Rock? Have you seen Barbie? Have you seen Werewolf Within? I mean, do you like any of those? What are your thoughts on Star Wars and sort of the hero's journey and kind of where everything is sitting right now? I mean, are you part of this imaginary audience that Disney's trying to rope in? And if you are, just tell us who you are so we can get an idea of what's going on. But as always, love having you guys listen. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. And all right, crew, we'll catch you on the next one.